Life ain't luck, man. This is what life is. Life is hard work, life is faith, and life is grace. If you understand that you got to work hard, faith without works is dead. You just keep the faith and work really hard and then ask God for as much grace as he can give you. Grace is God's unmerited favor. He gives you stuff you don't deserve. That's what you want out of life. You want God to do something for you that you just don't deserve it. That's what it is. Somebody was playing golf with a guy that owns Mayo Clinic one time. He told me, he said, justice is when you get what you deserve. Mercy is when you don't get what you deserve. Grace is when you get what you don't deserve. And you hear old people say, all I want is a little more grace. I just want some grace. I want God to give me a house that I don't really deserve. I want him to give me a lifestyle I don't really deserve. See, that's the problem with people. They think they deserve something. No, you don't. I work really hard. Everybody work hard. You just need some grace, man. You need God to just give you something that ain't on the vision board. You just need God to give you something that you didn't even ask for. That's when life gets real special for you. All I want is a little more grace. Like I got a vision board, right? But I ask God that his will be done in my life. Because what I can want, it can never compare to what God can give. You see what I'm saying? So you can want all you want. But if you line up with the will of God, what God has planned for you is way better than anything you could ever plan. You can't outthink him. That's how you get the life of your dreams, man. You set your goals and your aspirations, but then you leave the open end to your thy will be done on earth as it is. It's the Lord's Prayer. Man, it's not, you know, when your mama teach it to you as a little kid, it's like really the dopest prayer, man. Give us this day our daily bread. Don't ask for nothing else. Quit worrying about tomorrow. Just help me make decisions for today that let me live the best day. When you worry about tomorrow, you're off into something you have no say-so in. You have no control. So why would you worry? By worrying does not add a single hour to a day. Not 1 hour. So what you got to ask God for is your daily bread. Just for today. You'd be amazed what would happen to you if you quit tripping about tomorrow. Just today. Today is plenty. Today is so adequate. That's why he gives us 24 hours and he breaks it up into day and night. You know why? Because he knows 24 is too much. So he lets you stay up during the daytime, let you go to bed at night so you can recover. You think I'm lying? Stay up 24 hours, see what happens. Just stay up 24 hours and see what happens. You ain't gonna believe it's too much. That's a real, you know, people they write books about success. And people kill me when they write about success, but they don't tell people about God. You're trying to be successful without God, you ain't gonna make it. You try, but you're not gonna make it. You might make it a little way, but you can't stay there. It's not sustainable. You have to have faith, man. And I was talking the other day, and a lady, not this year, but a lady in the crowd said, I don't believe in God. Okay, well, I didn't know you was coming, so I'm just talking to the other people in here who get it. You know, if you're an atheist, I don't care. That don't bother me. So I told me, well, as a Christian, it's your job to convert. I'm not into conversion business. I ain't that good a Christian. You don't believe in God? Go to hell. I ain't got no problem with that. You want to go to hell? That's you. Go. Knock yourself out. There's plenty of room. But I got news for you. Hell gonna be packed. That lady just shaking her head. Can't believe he's saying this. Yeah, it's humor. That's how I work. I work off that. You know, I'm not that Christian. I'm not in the conversion business. I'm not in the saved soul business. I tell jokes. If you want to go to hell, I'm perfectly comfortable with that. Just don't drag me with you. You want to go to hell? I was interviewing this guy. He said, well, Steve, you're a Christian. Suppose there's no heaven. Well, then I lived the best life I could and there's no heaven. You got a bigger problem. Suppose it is. and you don't go. I don't believe God would burn us up. No, I don't know about all that, but why take a chance? Heaven, streets of gold, wings, flying around. You know the real reason I want to go to heaven? Because I want to see my mama. That's all.
There are two fundamental attitudes toward life and its sorrows. Those with the first attitude blame the world. Those with the second ask what they could do differently. It's much easier and much more gratifying to your basest desires to blame someone else for your misery.
They said I couldn't. They said I wouldn't. They said they didn't believe in me. They said I couldn't because of my circumstances. I couldn't because of my past. Because it hadn't been done before. I said, so what? You can complain and remain the same, or you can decide, commit, and work towards becoming someone that no one thought you could be.
You have to deal with the reality of the situation. Dwelling and pondering and crying doesn't do shit, and it especially doesn't do shit in this echo chamber. In this arena, there is no crying. You can cry, you're just gonna lose. And I have bad news about complaining and crying. Nobody gives a shit.
I may not like it, but I'm not a whiner. I'm a warrior. I know I can handle this. You have that attitude, you'll come out stronger, increased, promoted, better than you were before. We've all heard the saying, no pain, no gain. If everything was always easy, we wouldn't be prepared for our destiny.
You don't like where you are? Change something. You don't like your body? Change something. You don't like your job? Change it. Do something about it. Complaining about your situation is not going to change your situation. No one is coming to save you.
Negative is normal. It's not successful, but it's normal. It's part of life. You must learn to handle the negative. Don't ignore it. Handle it. You don't have to live in it. You don't have to dwell on it. But you do have to handle it. My opinion.
And I'm saying to you, what if all of us took that attitude after we face a rejection and a no, or we have a meeting and no one shows up, or somebody say, you can count on me, and they don't come through? What if we have that kind of attitude? The car's repossessed. Nobody believes in you. You've lost again and again and again. The lights are cut off, but you're still looking at your dream, reviewing it every day, and say to yourself, it's not over until I win.
The poor pessimist leads an ugly life. Pessimism, the deadly disease of always looking on the bad side, the problem side, the difficult side, checking all the reasons why it can't be done. He doesn't try to figure out what's right. He tries to figure out what's wrong. He doesn't look for virtue. He looks for faults. And when he finds them, he's delighted. How ugly. This is the poor guy who looks through the window, doesn't see the sunset. He sees the specks on the window. And this is the poor guy, right, who rushes up, takes such leave of his senses. This guy rushes up and he says, I've got 5 good reasons why it won't work. He's so dumb he doesn't know all he needs 1. He's got 5. To the pessimist, the glass is always half empty. To the optimist, the glass is half full. Why would the same measure affect people 2 different ways? Answer, it all depends on how you look at it. Our lives are mostly affected by the way we think things are, not the way they are. The way we think they are affects us most. There's a subject we don't have time to get into tonight called better thinking habits. One of the major things Shove taught me when I met him, he said, poor thinking habits keeps most people poor. Not poor working habits. Most people work hard, but they don't think hard. And Shove taught me that the mind is like a factory, a mental factory. And whatever you think about all day long pours ingredients into this mental factory. And that's what builds the economic, social, financial fabric of your life. He quoted me a Bible phrase that says, as you think, so you become. How awesome. When he talked about poor thinking habits, he had me. I used to start the day reading the morning newspaper. I mean, you can believe that or not. I'd get a cup of coffee and read the paper. I'd load up on wars and riots and murders and stabbings and killings and bank robberies and muggings and car wrecks and tragedies. I'd even read the back pages. I seem to like that stuff for some weird reason. I'd load up on all that, and then I'd start the day. You can imagine the kind of days I used to have. You walk around on your financial knees. They call you economic peewee. The guy says, I want to be a great leader. Wonderful. The first thing we do is follow him to his house. When we get there, we walk in and check his library. Number one. Somebody says, well, why check his library? The reason is because what a man reads pours massive ingredients into his mental factory, and the fabric of his life is built from those ingredients. You would not believe what some people have got in their house to read. You would not believe. One of the best dressed up words I know for a lot of it is trash. Can you imagine dumping a barrel of trash into this mental factory every day and coming out with a rich, dynamic, positive life? It can't be done. You might as well try making a cake. Cement. The kids back in Danbury, Connecticut, high school, they're asking me questions one day. I'm talking to the kids. Kids got good questions these days. One of them said to me, Mr. Rohn, how do you build the good life? I said, it's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. Here's how you build anything. Select the right ingredients, keep out the wrong ingredients, and it starts with thought. Everything starts with thought. So you must be wise and careful what you think about, because that starts everything. You got to be wise and careful. I asked the kids, what would happen if somebody dropped sugar in my coffee? They said, well, you'd be okay. I said, what if somebody dropped strychnine in my coffee? They said, well, you'd be dead. I said, correct. Lesson 1. Life is both sugar and strychnine. You gotta be careful. I said, what if my worst enemy drops in the sugar? They said, will you be okay? I said, what if my best friend, even by accident, drops in the strychnine? They said, well, you'd be dead. I said, correct. Lesson 2, watch your coffee. You gotta be careful. See, it doesn't matter who hands you the bad stuff. It doesn't matter where you get the bad stuff. It'll still do its damage on your bank account, wherever you get it. Mr. Schoaf gave me one of the greatest phrases when I first met him when he said, Jim, every day stand guard at the door of your mind.
You need an ideal because you have nothing to aim at, but an ideal is a judge, and you always fall short of the ideal. So how the hell can you have the benefits of having an ideal without having the crushing blow that goes along with having the judge that always regards you as insufficient? So I was trying to work that out in the chapter, and this is something I've had to work out a lot as a clinical psychologist. It's like, well, let's say you need a goal, but we don't want to let your distance from the goal crush you. So you got to set up a goal, and then you got to make the goal, break the goal down into parts so that you can move towards it, and you have a fairly high likelihood of doing it. So that's a bit of practical, I wouldn't say advice, it's because it's better than advice. It's some practical knowledge about how to go about achieving an aim. Set a high aim, but differentiate it down so you know what the next step is, and then make the next step difficult enough so you have to push yourself past where you are, but also provide yourself with a reasonable probability of success. It's also what you do with children, right? You want to push them because They need to grow up and be more than they are, right? But you don't want to crush them with constant failure. So what you do is aim high and make the goal difficult but proximal. One of the things I've thought about a fair bit is the meaning of the Sermon on the Mount. And as far as I can tell, it's basically a two-part wisdom. The first is that you should aim at the highest good that imagine. And that would be a good that includes everyone, right? So if I wanted what was good for you, say, if I genuinely wanted it, I'd want it in a way that was good for you now and good in the long run and good for you and your family and your community and maybe good for me too. You know, you could conceive of that as the desire. And I think that's a good definition of love, is that you actually want the best possible outcome. And in the Gospels, of course, that's extended even to your enemies.
Yes.
Right? Is that, okay, if we're going to have things good, let's have it good enough for even the people that set themselves up against me. Because if the world was running properly, things would be good for them too. And that would be better. And it seems to me that that's a very good way of looking at things. It's a difficult way of looking at things. And then the second part of the Sermon on the Mount is something like, having established that as your aim, which is no easy thing, by the way, right? Because you have to be pretty clear-headed and single-minded to actually want that to be your aim. Then you can concentrate on the day and you can try telling the truth. And you can ally. So there's truth and love that are allied together. Truth, love, and attention. It's something like that are all allied together. With regards to transgressing against the vulnerable,